Hey guys, it's Reese, and for today's video, you guys always seem to really love it whenever I make videos that have anything to do with books. I get comments all the time asking me to share my book recommendations with you guys, and there's a lot of you who have never really been a big reader before, but you're trying to get into reading and you just don't know where to start. So given I have read a lot of books, I thought I would come on here today and kind of give you a guide to reading if you kind of want to start reading but you don't really know what book to go to, or if you're just searching for book recommendations and you don't know what to read. I'm gonna try and give you guys some recommendations. So there's a cool feature that they have at a lot of bookstores where they will set books up with like two books next to each other, and they'll label them as, if you liked this book, then read this book. So they're trying to give people like similar options. So if you liked one book, then you're probably gonna like the other one. That's kind of what I'm gonna be doing for you today, but with major fandoms. So if you're a part of any of these fandoms, if you like any of these movies or TV series, then I'm gonna give you a book that actually has like obviously nothing to do with the fandom, but I think has like undertones that match the themes of the fandom, and I think that you would enjoy these books. I'm gonna have to do this very carefully because it's always a terrifying time when I have to pull books off of my shelf and just hope that they're not gonna all collapse. So I'm just gonna get up one section at a time and pull the books off and hope that they stay up. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So the first book I'm going to be recommending today is just a general fandom book. If you're a part of any fandom, it doesn't have to be any of the ones that I mentioned. If you are just a fan of some sort of series, I would recommend the book Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Also, I might butcher some authors' names here, so if I say something wrong, please don't come for me. As you can see, my copy is been through it. I actually read this book in 5th grade, which was probably a little too soon, but literally I absolutely loved it. From what I can recall, it's a story about a girl who's in college. She's obsessed with this fandom called the Simon Snow fandom, and she writes fan fiction, and it's just a very relatable little tale. This author has written a lot of other really popular contemporaries like Eleanor and Park, and she's a really good author, and I just think it's like a really cute, relatable, feel-good story. Definitely like a little bit more mature, so I would give this, probably rate this one like 14 plus if you want to read it, from what I can remember. But look it up if you're not sure if you're old enough to read it. But yeah, just a general fandom recommendation for you would be Fangirl. Okay, so the first fandom that I'm going to recommend for is the Harry Potter fandom, because I'm sure a lot of you who are subscribed to this channel are a fan of Harry Potter. So there's really nothing quite like Harry Potter that exists, just because it is so popular that a lot of authors don't really try to come close to any of like the really big concepts of Harry Potter because they don't want to seem like they're trying to copy it just because it's so popular. But here I have some books that I think have similar themes to Harry Potter, and I don't know, they just give me similar vibes. So for a little bit of a younger audience, I literally just read this last month, so you don't have to be that young, but younger people can read it, would be Red Queen, and this is by Victoria Aveyard, I think. So elements that I think make this similar to Harry Potter is there's a magical element to it. People have supernatural abilities, which isn't exactly like Harry Potter, but it's a very main concept in this. It centers on a young female protagonist who doesn't know that she has these abilities, and then suddenly one day she finds out that she possesses these abilities, and she is swept away to live with other people who also possess magical abilities. Not like magical, I don't know if it's like magical, but like supernatural abilities. So yeah, it's definitely very much different than Harry Potter, but if you're into that, realizing you have abilities and then going off from your family to live with other people with abilities, that's definitely a main plot point in this. This is a series. I think there are 4 books. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I wasn't obsessed with this, so I'm not reading the rest of the series, but I did enjoy this as a first novel, and I would definitely recommend it because it might be something that you're into. It just the whole thing didn't really click for me. But yeah, this would be kind of an appropriate for younger audiences. I would be like 12 or 13 plus for this one. A more mature book that honestly, if you've read this, you're gonna need to like hear me out for me to explain why I think this relates to Harry Potter, but this would be more mature, probably like 15 plus, would be An Ember in the Ashes, written by Sabat Tahir. And honestly, when you first like read the description and everything, you really would not think this had anything to do with Harry Potter, but some elements I think make this similar to Harry Potter, which would make it have a similar audience that you would like both of these, would be this centers on a young-ish protagonist protagonist, definitely older teens. It centers on a trio, so it usually rotates back and forth between the point of view of 3 main characters who all possess magical abilities because we love magical abilities. Part of this book does take place at a school where the trio is located. However, it's not a fun school, definitely not like Hogwarts, not an enjoyable school, but it is a trio of people with magical powers who are at a school. So maybe if you read Harry Potter when you were younger and you really liked it, but you're older now and you're looking for something a little bit more mature, this series is absolutely phenomenal. There are 4 books. I've read all of them. I read them all very quickly. It's honestly, I can't hold it straight. It was just a really engaging and dark storyline. It had some really great characters, and honestly, like, the world was just super fun. And I mean, it's not like the most obvious comparison to Harry Potter, but I do think that if you're older and you enjoyed Harry Potter, then you would also enjoy An Ember in the Ashes. Okay, so that is all I have for Harry Potter. The next fandom that we're moving on to is going to be Disney. So if you are a fan of Disney, I mean, there's probably a very broad range of books that you would like, but I'm just going to be focusing on 2 that have very distinct Disney elements. So the first book and slash series that I'm going to be recommending to you is the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer. The first book is called Cinder. You can just take a second to look at how absolutely gorgeous this cover is. I just can't even with the beauty and the art, and all of the covers in the series look like this, like the new, like they redid the covers, and they're just so pretty. If you couldn't tell by the title, the Lunar Chronicles series, each book centers around a protagonist whose story is loosely based off of a fairy tale. So Cinder is Cinderella, book 2 is Scarlet, which is Little Red Riding Hood, book 3 is Crest, which is Rapunzel, and book 4 is Winter, which is Snow White. But even though the story is based off of Cinderella and it has some of those key Disney elements, the characters have an entire different personality and life of their own. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I'm literally obsessed with it. It has such an amazing cast of characters. They're so dynamic. The books are so engaging, and they really just have that perfect amount of like a fantasy, like magic element mixed with sci-fi, that it's just something very fun and fresh, and I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anybody, especially if you like Disney. Just going off of that, I'm also gonna bring this book up because it's not in the Lunar Chronicles series, but it's very similar. It's also by Marissa Meyer, and it's Heartless. It is it's a book about the Queen of Hearts when she was younger, so it's another fairy tale retelling, which I really enjoy personally, but it's not a part of the Lunar Chronicles series because that's like a whole different universe. This is set in Wonderland, and it's very similar to the original story of Alice in Wonderland, but I really love this one. Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite Disney movies, so that's probably the reason why I like this so much, but honestly, this is another great one. I can't remember if there was anything bad in this. I don't think so. I would say like 13 plus, this would be fine for you. But yeah, I love Marissa Meyer. She's one of my favorite authors, and I would definitely recommend both of these if you like Disney. Okay, so the next fandom I'm going to be talking about is Stranger Things. So we're going to be moving a little bit less fantasy, sci-fi, and a little bit more into contemporaries. So speaking of Marissa Meyer being my favorite author, I am coming back to you with another Marissa Meyer book for Stranger Things, and this one is called Instant Karma. So for my Stranger Things recommendation, I did pick contemporaries just because I haven't really read anything that's set in the 80s, but contemporary books are books that were set in present times with like a normal cast of characters in like, you know, like a real city around the world somewhere. But I picked books that were contemporaries that have a little bit of a magical fantasy element to them, because that's what Stranger Things is to me. It's like a very much like kind of normal show that kind of takes a turn with supernatural. So Instant Karma is a fun little book about a girl who lives in a beach town, and it's kind of about like her, I think she's a sophomore in high school, and her high school experience and meeting a guy, and then all of a sudden she finds out that she has this kind of superpower, and it's really just a super quick read, a really lighthearted read, like if you're just not looking to stretch your brain at all and you just want to read something kind of fun. But it combines the contemporary and the kind of fantasy element really well, which I think is something that you would like if you enjoyed Stranger Things. So I would definitely recommend Instant Karma. It's definitely like if you're 12 it will be fine for you. Another book I would recommend that also is in the same genre of being contemporary with fantasy that maybe didn't do it as well as Instakarma, but it's still worth giving a try, is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. I don't know if any of you guys are on BookTube, but Christine runs a YouTube channel called Pulling Bananas Books. I've literally been watching her forever. She's where I used to get all of my book recommendations from. She wrote this book a couple years ago and I read it right after it came out. It's about a girl who's doing study abroad for college, and again it kind of starts off in a normal just everyday setting and then gets elements of fantasy thrown in there. This wasn't my favorite book, but it was definitely good for a debut novel, and I think maybe perhaps read this first, and then if you enjoy this, then I would give this a shot, because this one's definitely not for everyone. I didn't love it, but it's definitely another fun, quick read if you're not looking to hurt your brain and you just want to read something that's really fun and lighthearted. So yeah, these would be my recommendations for Stranger Things fans. Okay, and then the last fandom that I'm going to be talking about is Marvel. Marvel is kind of hard because it doesn't really translate directly into any books. It's kind of a weird concept, but I looked through my bookshelf and I did manage to find a book that I think you will enjoy if you are also a Marvel fan. It's possible that you've already heard of this book, but the book is called Six of Crows. It is by Leigh Bardugo, and it's really popular right now because it's about to be a series on Netflix, which is going to be like a crossover of this and another series that she's written, which is within this same Grishaverse. It's called Shadow and Bone. I have not read that personally, but I did read Six of Crows and I really enjoyed it. Why I think you will like this if you like Marvel, it's definitely a little bit darker. It has a kind of underlying themes of like war, and there's a lot of action scenes, and it also features a very dynamic main cast. I think there are 6 of them, which is very similar to the Avengers, so it's like 6 main characters who all have a very unique set like skill sets. Some of them do have supernatural abilities, and it's how they like come together as a team to like fight evil, which is like the Avengers in my mind. The difference here would be that these are teenagers and the Avengers are not teenagers, but I think if you do like Marvel, this would definitely be something you'd be interested in. There are only 2 of them. It's a duology, so it's super easy to read the whole series. If you do end up liking this, there's just one more book after it. If you want to, you can read the other books, the Shadow and Bone series, first. They did come out before this, but I read this without reading Shadow and Bone, and I was completely fine. It just takes you a couple chapters to like understand the world and what's going on, but that's totally up to you. If you look up the plot descriptions and you decide you want to check out Shadow and Bone, then you can go for it, or you can maybe watch the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix. Then if you like it, then you can give the book a shot. But I literally got this from Goodwill, and I was never planning on reading it, and then I kind of ran out of stuff on my shelf, and I'm like, you know what, let's just read this book, and I ended up absolutely loving it. So I would definitely recommend this one for Marvel fans. So yeah, those are all of my book recommendations for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you maybe found a book that you thought was intriguing that you haven't read yet, and you might be giving it a try. If you do decide to read one of these after watching this video, please comment below and tell me what you're gonna read, and then tell me what you think of it after. I would love to know. Or if you've just already read one of these and you want to tell me what you thought of it, go ahead and comment that as well. Let me know if you want me to do more book related videos. I think my next video is going to be my college admissions video, just because that's kind of what the thing is that's going around on YouTube now, and I'm pretty much finished with my college decisions process, and I've always wanted to make a video about that. So I'm just gonna make a video probably about my process of applying to film school, kind of just going into it for maybe people who are gonna be seniors next year, or just for years to come if people stumble upon the video and they want to know about it. So that's probably going to be my next video, but I can do more book videos in the future if you guys are interested in that. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. You can give this a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you're new here and you feel like it. So yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!